Welcome aboard Tristan and Tommy's Runaway Railway. For your safety, please remain seated and enjoy the show. Welcome to Please Remain Seated, a theme park podcast hosted by two theme park enthusiasts that work for the industry in Central Florida. In our show, we discuss theme park news, reviews, and other theme park discussions. Today's news, we'll be discussing Disney teasing the electrical parade coming back possibly, the fact that Disney World's Magic Kingdom Railroad has been closed for 3 years now, and as well as Disneyland Park increases. We'll also talk about the new Genie Plus at Disney World and how that's been rolled out now that it's been officially open to the public. And then Tristan will review VelociCoaster. That was my review on the first episode, but now Tristan finally got to go in it, so he'll be reviewing that. And he'll also be reviewing Magic Kingdom's new fireworks show, Disney Enchantment, followed by a TRISTory lesson. Tristan, how we doing?
Sounds like this is my episode, Tommy.
This is going to be a very Tristan episode. I'm really happy about that. And it's also going to be a very Central Florida heavy one. I think next episode we might have some more news because I actually got access to IAPA this month, so really, really excited to go there. For those that don't know, it's pretty much a Comic-Con for theme parks, but it's really only for like big people in the industry to like spend millions of dollars on attractions that haven't been released to the public and that kind of thing. So I'm going to be very out of my element, and I'm going to have to try to not have too much fun because they actually have like rides there that aren't open to the public, or at least like in the footage that I saw from the 2019 IAP, but they didn't have it in 2020. But yeah, another shout out that I want to give before we go into today's show. A YouTube channel that I watch, Coaster Studios, the people behind that channel actually made an entire documentary called This Is How We Roll. And it's about the story of Rocky Mountain Construction, RMC, a coaster manufacturer that just blew up in the last decade. And it's really kind of about those guys, their beginnings, and their journey to blowing up in the coaster world over the last decade. And it's a really, really cool documentary. I think you can buy it on Vimeo. It's like you can rent it for $8 or buy it for $15, which sounds like a little bit, but like it's just kind of cool supporting a small creator and watching that little documentary about RMC made me appreciate them even more. For any of my coaster nerds that want some more content.
Oh, yeah. I love a fresh roller coaster documentary, Tommy. You know
who doesn't, man? About an entire manufacturer.
Wow. But yeah, so check out that documentary. That sounds cool. But also, I want to give a quick shout out to our other podcast and the fundraiser that we're doing on that other podcast. We're doing a t-shirt fundraiser for Give Kids the World. So if you go over to our other podcast Facebook page, it's called 2 Useless Organisms, number 2 Useless Organisms. Right there, pinned at the top of the page, is a link to buy a shirt for our show. Now, even though the podcast is not safe for work, the shirt is completely safe for work. There's no profanity on the shirt. And it's about $23. It's the cheapest we could put it because we wanted people to get them. And we're not seeing any of the money from it. It's all going to Give Kids the World.
All charity.
Yeah, so we wanted to plug that on this show. Obviously, with all our theme park people, you probably know what Give Kids the World is. If you don't, they basically provide cost-free vacations to children with critical illnesses and their families. It's based out of Kissimmee, Florida, so a lot of it is Universal and Disney. So,
which is what this episode is going to be all about.
That's right, it is. Look at that. Good segue. So we can you want to hop into our news updates, Tommy?
Let's hop into our news updates. So... And first update number 1. So, Tristan, you brought this to my attention. What's going on with the Disney Electrical Parade?
So, Main Street Electrical Parade left a number of years ago, right?
Yes.
Very sad for most people. It was a really cool show. And just the other day, Disney posted, I think, a TikTok on their Disney Parks TikTok page of it showed like one of the floats, the Main Street Electrical Parade floats, like it's covered in lights, just zooming around a warehouse and then getting loaded into the back of a truck.
Ooh.
That's it.
Okay.
So, I don't know where it's going, if it, East Coast, West Coast, maybe a different country, I don't know, but like just the fact that it could be coming back is very cool to me.
Yeah, I really hope that it does, just from everything I've heard about it. I never got to experience that. And like I know when I was younger, when me and my family went to the parks, like we rarely ever focused on parades and shows. It was pretty much all rides most of the time. Now that I've been here for 3 years now, which is after Main Street Electrical Parade went away, I'm starting to get a bigger appreciation for like more of the shows and things like that. So and like I heard that was Main Street Electrical Parade is all like I mean a nighttime parade with lights. That's so cool. Um, isn't it true? Like it kind of used to be like night, like almost every night was like an event. Because I remember going to Mickey's Not So Scary in 2019, whereas we watched Boo 2 Parade, then watched the fireworks and a stage show, and that was like pretty much every night with Main Street Electoral Parade and Wishes or Happily Ever After.
Yeah, it was both, and it was one of my vivid memories from my childhood is seeing Wishes, or well, Main Street Electrical Parade was first, and then Wishes, and just both of them like together in one night, like you
Yeah.
basically could stay in the same spot too. Like if you got a viewing area on
Yeah.
Main Street for the parade, and then watch the fireworks, it's like what an awesome night or end to your
Oh
night.
yeah.
So really excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah, I really hope something comes out of it and it's not just a tease. Like, I mean, the fact that it's just going onto a truck and they're just posting that, like, it's like I know, a lot of people might think about the new about Mr. Chapek, and that'd probably be against his will right there. So we'll
Yeah.
yeah.
No comment, but
No comment. No comment.
So yeah, no, very exciting, I guess, sort of kind of news there, but oh, man,
Yeah.
I hope, obviously me and Tommy both living
Yeah.
in Central Florida, I hope that it comes back here to Walt Disney World, because I do think after it left Walt Disney World in late 2016, I want to say, it went to Disneyland for a bit, and then it was
Okay.
retired. So
And I mean, I know Imagineering is moving their operations from California to Florida, so that could be a thing.
I don't know. All right. But
could be taking a float to Florida with them.
I know. You want to move on to this next one, Tommy? More Magic Kingdom news?
More Magic Kingdom news. So, as of December, which will be, next month, we're recording this beginning of November, the Magic Kingdom Railroad will be closed for 3 entire years.
Dude.
Yeah.
So basically, all that was announced lately was that the refurbishment for the train for the railroad is being pushed back.
Yeah.
I think it's as of now some point early next year. Speculation is that it might get pushed back even further than that, because a lot of it has to do with the Tron roller coaster construction of Magic Kingdom.
And that just seems like it's never going to end.
Yeah. So between that, yeah, like you said, we don't really know how far along that is.
Yeah.
Might be a little while, but let's just take a moment to 3 years. An attraction has been closed for 3 years.
I know. It kind of upsets me because I moved here in September 2018, and I never went on the railroad before it shut down. I never got to say goodbye to it. Like I remember going on it as a kid, and it was really fun. And now it's just been closed pretty much my entire time living here, and I didn't get to really experience it as an adult. So I'm just like kind of disappointed, kind of sad about that. It's like I did the Disneyland Railroad when I was there in 2019, and like it's so great having a railroad around the park.
We have very similar life experiences, Tommy. I moved down here around that very same time in 2018, and I rode it for the last time in December, right before it closed, and I took a Disneyland trip in 2019. I got to ride the railroad there, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. I've always really enjoyed. Oh God, theirs is so cool. I've always really enjoyed riding trains, and the only train I've ridden in the last 3 years is the Disneyland Railroad twice, I think, while I was there.
Okay.
And the Gatorland train.
Oh wow.
There's a train at Gatorland, if you didn't know.
I did not know.
It's not as good.
It's like I feel like the last few theme parks I went to, I missed out on their trains. Like when I was at Cedar Point, I was like totally focused on all the roller coasters. And I remember when I went to the Six Flags Fiesta Texas, I wanted to ride their train, but I decided to get several rides on Iron Rattler instead. Because I mean, that ride was sick. The last train that I can remember going on was from actually Raleigh to Charlotte. It was actually on my Fiesta Texas trip. I went from Raleigh to Charlotte to San Antonio. I was initially going to do Carowinds for their opening weekend until it turns out they were doing park reservations at that time, and there's nothing on their website about that before reservations became available. But anyways, because of that, I got to spend more time with my family and then more time in the city of Charlotte, which was actually really cool. I loved my trip. I am hopefully going to get to Carowinds at some point because I need to ride Fury 325 and Copperhead Strike. I did go on Fury like a few years ago, but like I don't have a good memory of it, so I need a better one. Anyways,
Nice.
Trains.
You'll have to, but
How did
see,
we go from how did I go from trains to that?
I don't know.
Got to stop letting me. This is your episode, Tristan. Why am I talking?
No. This is your show, Tommy. I just sit here. But you'll have to next time you're at Cedar Point, you'll have to ride the train because if you remember a few episodes, we talked about how one of Disneyland's locomotives came from Cedar Point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean that park's 150 years old now, so
it's crazy. But anywhoozy, yeah. So Disney Magic Kingdom Railroad, man, closed for 3 years.
Yeah. But, so really hoping that does come back next year because that I need to ride that.
What's our next topic there, my boy?
Next topic is going to be Disneyland. We're going to the other coast that their ticket prices are increasing, of course.
Yeah, as they do. I mean, out here in Florida, we saw that with Disney World a couple years ago, I think, and you know
isn't this like a yearly thing? I think.
I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. It's crazy. Like the price increases not just for tickets but for like everything. I think Disneyland's parking prices went up as well.
Oh wow! And
then just recently here over the last year or two at Disney World, we saw that. I think a lot of people have to park now to stay at their own resort. I think that was like announced or something like that you have to pay to park at your own resort now.
Oh yeah, I think that's like been. I thought that was established like a couple of years ago at least or so, right?
Maybe it was, and I just haven't like time's gone by. But like,
like why isn't that just a part of the resort fee? It's so weird.
Like and in other price increases, a soda now costs like $4 or $5 or something at Disney. It's just that went up by quite a bit.
That's nuts.
But I don't know. Attendance keeps going up and up and up and up. So maybe they can get away with charging more for stuff. I don't know.
I guess they can. I mean, I guess they'll just keep doing it until it loses money, I guess. So
well, if you want to vent your frustrations about price increases, go over to our Facebook page or any social media and complain to us about it. We would love to hear it. But
love doing that.
Hot dog, yeah.
Hot dog. Speaking of Disney charging more for stuff, should we go into the next discussion about Disney or Genie Plus?
Yeah.
Genie Plus.
Let's do it.
All right. So we've brought it up a few times on our show, but now it's been officially rolled out and we know how it works now. They unrolled the Disney Genie, Genie Plus, and Lightning Lane individual attraction selections. So Lightning Lane is now the new Fast Pass, but now it costs money. So the Disney Genie is a free thing that you can use to plan out your day. Although, in my opinion, since I go to the parks a lot, it's kind of useless. It might be kind of cool for people who have never used it, but it's supposed to show wait time predictions and things like that for things that you might be interested in or really enjoy. And then Genie Plus is a paid service. It is $15 per person per day. And it kind of works like the old Fast Pass in a way where if you're staying on Disney property, you can make your first selection at 7 a.m. If you're staying off property, you can start either at the park open or at 9 a.m. And you just make one. It's like you're paying $15 per person to make Fast Pass selections like you could one at a time. So like after you scan into your ride, I believe you can start making your next selection after you scan in or 15 minutes later or something like that. And on top of Genie Plus, you also have Lightning Lane individual attraction selections, which each Disney park has 2 rides that are not covered by Disney Plus, or I keep saying Disney Plus, by Genie Plus that you have to pay separately for. Now, if you don't have Genie Plus, you don't need it to pay extra for the other 2 rides. Like the other day, my parents were actually in town, and I paid for one of Animal Kingdom's just because we didn't have a lot of time in the park, and they love Flight of Passage. So I was like, I'll just fork over $11 for each of us just to get on Flight of Passage a little quicker. So the Lightning Lane individual ones fluctuate between $7 and $15 depending on the ride and maybe the day of the week or time of year. So, you know, Christmas time, they might be all closer to 15. But anyways, for each park, Magic Kingdom, the individual ones are Space Mountain and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Seven Dwarfs, probably most people predicted. For Hollywood Studios, it's Rise of the Resistance and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I thought that was kind of interesting that they didn't go with a Rock and Roller Coaster or even Tower of Terror, maybe even Slinky Dog or Millennium Falcon. Rise of the Resistance, very obvious, and I think that one's been $15 every day because it's Rise of the Resistance. Animal Kingdom's is Flight of Passage and Everest. I think most people could have predicted that, especially Flight of Passage. I could have potentially seen Kilimanjaro Safari as well, since sometimes they have slow dispatch, but Everest seems to have been sticking around $7, maybe $9 on the weekend. And Epcot selection surprised me the most because it's Frozen Ever After and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Like, I'm surprised I didn't go with maybe Test Track or Soarin', which I guess Soarin' hasn't had crazy lines recently, especially with the newer theater. And I mean, I guess Ratatouille's newer, which is why, but it's like, it's an okay ride, in my opinion. Like, it's very cute and I enjoy it. But anyways, so Genie Plus has been rolled out now for a couple weeks. And Tristan, what do you think about it?
Haven't been able to use it yet. When I originally heard about it, I was like, you know, I didn't think much of it more than, oh, great. They're now charging for something that used to be free. You know, that's basically what I thought. But now, I mean, tell me this. In the moment when you wanted to get your family on Flight of Passage, was it really that, did it bother you that much to just shell out $11 to get on it faster? Like, to save you that much time and effort?
It honestly didn't.
Yeah. I can't imagine that, like, you know, say you're in your predicament where you don't have that much time. And even for Rise of the Resistance, which is crazy to get on, you pay $15 for that peace of mind that you're going to get on the ride. You know, it's really not that bad, especially when you're in Disney World and you're used to paying $5 for a Coke and $25 to park your car and all this other crap. So like,
it's like I kind of hate it, but like, you know, it helped me out that day because we really only had a few hours in the park. We didn't have time to wait 55 minutes for it.
Yeah. So, you know, like in theory, when I heard it, I was like, oh gosh, that's going to be in. But I haven't heard any complaints about it other than, oh, we have to pay now. I haven't heard that, you know, that it doesn't work. I've heard about some sort of hacks or something. I don't know how the hacks work, but so I really don't know about it until I use it. I'll have to try it out sometime.
Until you use it. Because, you know, it kind of reminds me of like, you know, Max Pass at Disneyland. I don't know about your trip, but when I went in 2019, I paid for Max Pass, which in 2019, there was free fast passes at Disneyland. You just had to go up to the ride and print a ticket. Or at that time, you can pay for Max Pass $15 a person and just do them on your phone every hour and a half or less.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very nice and convenient. The one caveat that I would have with Genie Plus is I was watching a YouTuber use it on the opening day, and the first park he went to was Hollywood Studios. And at the very beginning of the day, the Slinky Dog lightning lanes were booked up till like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. But then when he went to Magic Kingdom, there was a lot more selections. So, you know, if you're paying $15 per person a day, as long as you're able to get everything, I think it'll work out. But when it's a situation like that day at Hollywood Studios, and you're either going to have to wait, you're paying $15 just to do Slinky Dog at night, or you're not even going to be able to get onto that, like, I could see it kind of being a bummer. Because, like, I kind of see it from two angles. I do see it more positively than, like, some people have. The way I look at it is every other theme park has a paid fast pass system, every single one. And every other park, it's more expensive. Every other park, it's at least $80 to $150 at least. Although those systems are, you pay for the Fast Lane Plus or whatever, and then you get in line, and like you can use it as much as you can. And with Disney's, you have to use it when you're able to, and you can only do it once per ride. But when I think about my Cedar Point trip, there was $100 for Fastlane, and then $150 for Fastlane Plus, which included their top 4 coasters, which is kind of similar to Disney's, except it's literally only $15, and then paying a maximum of $45 per person if you're trying to do everything. But it's probably gonna be closer. It's probably gonna be closer to 30 to 35. So like I have mixed feelings about it, but I think for what you're paying, it's like not terrible. But with it, Disney being a family park, I do see, how some family, you got a family of 4, you're going for a few days, it will add up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's that. Genie Plus. We'll have to see. Plus. Give it more time, see what happens. All right. Let's hop into Tristan Land. All right.
Tristan Land. All right. I'm excited for this.
I got 2 reviews here that I think we've previously mentioned before in some episodes, but now I've actually done them. So
yes,
I have now seen Disney Enchantment at Magic Kingdom, and I have now finally ridden the VelociCoaster at Universal.
Fantastic.
So when I said VelociCoaster, Tommy's eyes got all wide, so I'm going to save that for last because that's the best one. So we'll start with Enchantment.
I actually got to ride VelociCoaster again last night for the first time in a few months, and that made me very happy.
Something?
Anyways, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Disney Enchantment. So I went into it obviously hearing most of the negative reviews that were going around as soon as it debuted, basically on October 1st. I want to say all the negativity came from October 1st because all the people who were in the park that day, obviously they were thinking they had all these high expectations, being in Magic Kingdom on the 50th. And then maybe it wasn't as special as they thought. But I went into it a few weeks later and I saw it and I thought it was a fine fireworks show. Like I don't think it hit emotionally as hard as Happily Ever After did. And even Wishes. But like I do think that it was a really good show. It had all the intellectual properties that kids want to see, and that's really fun. Current, modern intellectual properties. The music was pretty good. One thing that I didn't like about it so much was the transitions between songs. I feel like for the most part, Happily Ever After had really good, powerful transitions that flowed really well from song to song. I don't think Enchantment had that. And I really was kind of underwhelmed at the build up to Tinkerbell, which I know we actually talked about on the previous, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, but Tinkerbell flying, it's still awesome to see. Like, and even me, I got excited when I saw her come down, but like, it didn't build up to it like Happily Ever After did, in my opinion. So, I was on that. One transition that I say I really liked was, I don't remember what song plays before Into the Unknown, but the build up or the transition into the unknown, what I thought was really, really cool. That's my 2 cents on it. Oh, I do have to mention the projections on Main Street. Really great thing to add. It just gave you another thing to look at and more to not see, every time you see it, what I mean by that is every time you go and see it after this, you'll have something else to look for between the castle projections, the Main Street projections, and the fireworks. Awesome. Overall, I really enjoyed that. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, I think so. I haven't seen it in person yet, but just from what you said, that kind of sounds about right. Because I feel like people in my circles have completely talked down on the show, but most of them haven't even seen it. Where I feel like from when I watched the live stream, the music sounded really good, but it's not as emotional as Happily Ever After. I had another thought, and I'm completely blanking out. I'm surprised about hearing about the transitions not being as good, and I guess the Tinkerbell build-up not being as good. Oh, that was another thing. That was one thing that I loved in Happily Ever After. Not just the Tinkerbell build-up, but the first firework build-up. Because, the song starts off with Happily Ever After, and that song builds up so perfectly to the first firework shooting off, where this one just, kind of goes Wish Upon a Star, and, you see a little thing right away. Not as much build up to it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah.
But let's talk roller coasters, Tommy. Here we
All
go.
right, let's
VelociCoaster.
go.
Um, so long story short, my girlfriend got me this year's Christmas gift a little early. One, because she wanted to go to Universal, didn't have anyone to go with, so she got me an annual pass, and we went that day. Um, so I finally got to ride VelociCoaster that day, and this was just a few days ago. And wow, it was something. I I have to say, like the theming and the pre-show theming, the little spoilers if you haven't seen it, but the little like movie they play on the screen with Chris Pratt and
Yeah,
Bryce
I
Dallas
love that
Howard,
video. It's so
so
great.
good. Chris Pratt was so funny. Like
Yeah,
he's so good. Like pretending like he's talking to a security camera or whatever is up there.
yeah.
Um,
Like he
really
did a
thought
great
that was
job.
cool.
I feel like
Um,
sometimes the self-aware ride type of thing can be cheesy, but the way that they do it with VelociCoaster is just very clever. Like it's that.
yeah, I thought that was great. And then the thrills of it were amazing. The two launches were awesome. Um, it definitely messed my body up. All the inversions and the launches. Like I got off that thing and I felt funny for 30 minutes. Like I was
Oh
like,
wow.
ooh. I don't get nauseous or anything like that, but it's just I don't know, man. Something was off. My equilibrium was off. Um, I was
Did
there
you
with
eat and
my
drink enough that day?
yeah. I was fine that day. Well, I ate buffalo chicken tots from Seuss Land, so maybe not the
Oh,
best
okay.
choice,
That's
but
why.
um, but I was there with my girlfriend, and she didn't want to go on it because she doesn't like drops all that well, and she
Uh,
saw that big drop on it.
mhm.
But in my mind, I was like, I don't think the drop is the most thrilling part, and it wasn't, in my
No,
opinion, riding it. The second launch, correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy, is the second launch faster than the first one?
it is. The first launch, I believe, is 0 to 50, and the second is 40 to 70.
Okay. Yeah. I felt it on that. I mean, the first launch was awesome, but the second one, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
and
because like
that's
you're
when
already
you
going
go
pretty
off.
fast, and then it just.
Yeah. Woo. That was awesome. And then, the inversions right after you come down off the drop were all awesome. I
Oh
like how
my
the
god.
track almost follows itself. Like it does an inversion and then goes around. And then the
Yeah.
track follows what it just did around again. And then you go through what's it called again? The zero G
I
stall?
believe in velocity.
Something?
So after the top hat, that's a 0 G stall, um, and that's a 100-foot long stall right after the 140-foot tall top hat, and then
Okay.
it does those circles, and then right over the water, I believe they were calling that one a Mosasaurus roll, with the theming. I think you go through that at like 50 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Overall, really enjoyed it. Definitely worth the hype. Um, so that's my opinion on that. You have anything to add, Tommy?
I mean, I don't think there's anything that I didn't say in my first review in the first episode. One thing that I just love to touch up on that ride is just how smooth and comfortable it is. Like the seats are comfortable, the restraint is very comfortable, and I don't think I've ever been on a ride that's that smooth, that thrilling, and that well themed. Like it has a very like good combination of all three of those things that I haven't seen anywhere else.
Where again does this roller coaster fit on your rankings, Tommy?
So before my Cedar Point trip, it was number one. Now it's number three.
Okay, still top five, top three.
Yeah,
That's good.
my top two are Millennium Force and Steel Vengeance. Um, and those have like a lot more thrilling, and they're both very smooth, but they don't have the theming that VelociCoaster does, which is why that one also is that high.
Yeah, 10-4. All right. So those are the two new things I got to do over the last couple of weeks. Let's hop in now to theme park TRISTory. I'm a theme park history nerd, so I always love doing this. Now this one is relevant for the times here. This is about Walt Disney World's development prior to 1971, so
Ooh,
before it opened. So here we go.
yes.
Walt Disney World's groundbreaking was on May 30th of 1967. That's about 6 months after Walt died.
Wow.
So they pretty much got right to it. Roy came out of retirement to start the Florida Project, as it was called at the time. So as many know, the Walt Disney Company began purchasing land under Walt's supervision, buying the land as dummy corporations so that the public wouldn't realize what was being built and to keep the land prices low. Some of these dummy corporations can be found on a window above Main Street, USA, in the Magic Kingdom. So when you're walking down Main Street, there's all sorts of names of people that were important in Magic Kingdom's history. But there's also the names of these dummy corporations that Disney created to buy land, some of which are the letters MT Lot Real Estate Investments, MT Lot, I4 Corporation, spelled AYEFOUR, I4, Bay Lake Properties, and Reedy Creek Ranchlands. If you're a Floridian, you know what all those mean already.
That's pretty cool.
The few photos that exist of Walt in Florida include a photo of him and Roy, among others, looking at a map in some swampland. One theory is that this photo was taken somewhere around the boat docks for the Contemporary Resort where Bay Lake is today. So if you've ever seen that photo of Walt and Roy looking at a map in Florida, not confirmed, but it's somewhere around the boat docks at the Contemporary, just if you ever want to like recreate it or see where that was. The Walt Disney World Preview Center opened on January 10th of 1970 on Hotel Plaza Boulevard. The building still stands today, home of the Amateur Athletic Union headquarters. The AAU signed a contract with Disney in 1994, stating that many AAU championships in several sports would be played at Disney's Wide World of Sports complex. So that's why it's on Disney property, the Amateur Athletic Unions, because they do have a contract with Disney. If you're interested in seeing the former Preview Center building, the address is 1910 Hotel Plaza Boulevard. It looks almost exactly as it did back then, back in 1970, where the Walt Disney Preview Center was, which I think in like the first few months or something, the Walt Disney World Preview Center had like 1 million guests come through it. And all it was a building that was previewing what was to come at that time. Wow. Which is pretty neat. So yeah, not a lot of people know that little history that was leading right up to the opening of Walt Disney World, basically between Walt's death, even though he did oversee the purchasing of most of the land, to opening day, October 1st, 1971.
It's like, I don't know if I ever connected the dots about the groundbreaking not happening until after he died. Because, like, I mean, I know that it didn't open until years after he died, and I knew the thing about Roy coming out of retirement to make sure that it went in the right direction, or at least some kind of right direction. But, wow.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy that he just wasn't there for any of the groundbreaking.
I know. I mean, he was only there a number of times. Walt landed a few times. There's a few stories of him talking to locals or visiting local businesses or whatever. But most of everything that he did prior to his death with Walt Disney World was he was just flying over looking at the land. So, yeah, wow. Cool little piece of history there.
That's an awesome history lesson. TRISTory lesson. Thank you.
TRISTory. All right, Tommy.
All right, signing us off. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Please Remain Seated. Due to some of our scheduling this month, it might be at least a few weeks or a month till we record again. But on the next episode, I'll be talking a little bit about my visit to IAAPA and maybe a Fiesta Texas review. I mean, I did go there in May, so maybe I should finally review that one. I've like reviewed other parks I've been to since, so yeah, maybe I'll drop that one. But yeah, follow us on our social media, give us a comments, likes, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcast. If there's anything you want us to talk about specifically, please let us know.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Have a good day.
You too, my dude. I love you, homie.
All right. Love you too. Bye.
Cheers.